Today we're going over my top 3 fat loss tips that you're probably not doing. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, my name's Matt. We talk about all things fitness related, but in particular today we're talking about my top 3 tips that you're probably not doing when it comes to fat loss. All right, tip number 1 is when I talk to people about their nutrition and what it is that they're intaking, 9 times out of 10, they're not intaking enough protein. We talk about protein being an essential building block when it comes to muscle, but what about fat loss? When we're talking about digesting protein, it does have a thermogenic effect. In other words, when you consume protein, a large percentage of that consumption goes directly to help support with digestion. So you're helping burn more energy just by eating more protein. You're getting the most bang for your buck by consuming more protein because it costs more energy to burn and you're gonna end up burning more calories. That's why it's extremely important that we're making sure we're getting adequate amounts of protein and making sure that we get that in on a daily basis. All right, that brings us to tip number 2, probably one that you didn't think about, is sleep. How can sleep affect our fat loss, right? Lack of sleep, essentially what happens is it decreases our insulin sensitivity. Insulin sensitivity is extremely important when it comes to fat loss. An easy way to think about it is the less sleep that we get, the less receptive our cells are in terms of knowing where to shuttle fat, and it essentially gets stored. Now, if we bring into the equation that we're training on top of our regular daily routines, and we also have a job that we go to every single day, and if that job is overexerting us or we're expending a lot of energy at our job as well as coming home and working out or before or after, then we're gonna need more sleep versus the average human being who's not working out or not training. That one often gets overlooked. Remember, sleep, sleep, sleep. I can't stress that enough. How many times I can say sleep and how important it is, and how many times people actually skip that or don't think about it or don't think sleep is important when it comes to talking about weight loss. And that brings us to tip number 3, which is making sure we're consuming or intaking an adequate amount of water, making sure we're hydrating throughout the day. When it comes to drinking water, we have to remember that water is the most abundant nutrient in the body. When we're talking about the consumption of water, studies have literally shown that by drinking more water, naturally our body is gonna wanna eat less or fewer calories. There's also studies that show that on average, our body can last up to for about 3 weeks without food, but when it comes to water, 3 days. Our bodies heavily rely on water. And a lot of times if you're feeling bloated or you feel like you're retaining water, that's a clear sign of dehydration and that you should probably be hydrating more. Essentially, when we lack hydration, what's happening is your body is trying to squeeze and hang on to every last drop of water that it has. Even mildly being dehydrated drastically affects the functioning of our body. Oftentimes when we feel like we're hungry, if you notice before, during, or after, if you're drinking and you're hydrating properly, sometimes your appetite for food will go away. Oftentimes your body's trying to send you signals and you may think that you're actually hungry and you actually needed to hydrate. There's a difference between those two. So sometimes your body needs to hydrate, it didn't necessarily need food, it just needed water. All right, guys, hopefully those tips made some sense. I know they weren't groundbreaking, but I wanna make sure that you guys are actually applying those tips and making sure that you're conscious of them, all 3 of those. But I'm actually gonna give you a bonus tip before we get out of here, and that is the 4th and final tip. I'll give you one extra one, and it's plan. A lot of this comes down to planning. Oftentimes people want to start a diet or they want to start eating well or they want to start losing weight and they just say, oh, I'll just do it tomorrow. But there's no plan of action. There's no plan in place to make sure you're properly planning out the meals that you're going to eat for the following day. Not only the meals that you're going to eat, but the sleep, the hydration, and the amount of protein that we talked about in the first 3 steps. The more you plan, the more you're going to set yourself up for success. Oftentimes when it comes around to lunchtime when we're hungry and we want to make a good quality decision, it's really easy to drive by all these fast food places and go, oh, I'm just gonna eat that. I can just cheat this one day today, or oh, I'll start the next day, or I'll start next week, right? It's easy to get derailed if you don't have a plan. If you take the time to prep ahead of time, everything's in line and everything's planned out for your entire week, it's much easier to make those good quality decisions because the work's already taken care of. What I suggest is just taking one day out of the week and making sure that you properly prep your carbohydrate, your protein, and your fats, and you portion those out and you make them for 3, 4, if not 6 to 7 days for the entire week. Just take one day to do that and prep and plan, and that way all that work is taken care of for you. When it comes time to eat, you don't have to think about anything. You can get creative with those meals, but at least you've made a plan and you worked ahead of time so that when it comes down to make a split decision, when your body is starving, you don't make that easy, quick, cheap decision that you would regret later. All right, guys, hopefully you were able to get some sort of value out of that, even if I was just reminding you of some key points that you already knew about. So again, if you took some value away from this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe because we're coming out with new videos every single week. And if there's a topic you want us to address, make sure you guys put that in the comments or let me know, send me a message. All right, stay healthy, stay safe. Make sure you guys make that daily sweat deposit, and we'll catch you on the next one.